I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting August 14th, 2023. Clerk Kornecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano?
Here.
Trustee Cordova?
Here.
Trustee Corkery?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar? Here. Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Gonzalez?
Here. And will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, we'll go to item number 3, public comments on agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, we do. On agenda, I've got Joe Amore, item 8D.
Joe Amore, 309 East Maple Street, Villa Park. As a member of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee, we've been involved in advising the village with the plan for the Tri-Trail Connector. Although not all of our recommendations were taken into account, we hope to continue to be involved in this great project and would like to be kept informed if any changes are considered down the road. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
No one else.
Good. No one else?
No.
Okay. Anyone else, public comments on agenda items?
Hi, my name is Anne Marie, and I live in Villa Park. There's my address. So, I'm speaking on item 7C, and this is not my page. Last summer, just a brief recap, a developer bought the lot at 27 West Park. He was short 35% of the parking spaces he needed, and he needed 4 other variances to create a building that would be profitable for him. The residents went to at least 4 traffic and safety meetings, 4 P&Z meetings, and a board meeting over the course of 5 months. So, in that time, we asked a lot of questions of the developer. We got some answers, but the reality is, we talked at Traffic and Safety about safety things, and he was going to manage the building, and he told us he would do this and that, and there was probably questions of the developer asked by you board members who were here last summer. So, I feel now a little disserviced by the community because I don't think during the course of those P&Z meetings and those traffic and safety meetings and this meeting that it was mentioned enough by the people who are experts. So we're just residents. We're struggling to learn the codes ourselves. Planning is not a thing any of us do. And I think we should have been reminded periodically by the people who are professionals and those we elected to look out for us that he could sell this building at any time. So all this time we spent talking about what he would do as the manager of the building is meaningless. The only thing that matters is that he meets the codes, he meets the 4 variances that he got, and he got a list of 5 things from traffic and safety to make the building more safe, a mirror on a pole, some paint on a curb, things you could buy at Ace Hardware. So, what's happened in the last year? The village hasn't heard anything from him. There's no updated plan since the second P&Z meeting where he lost the 2 variances because at the first P&Z meeting they said, we're going to give you a chance, split the difference with us on these other 2 variances, cut your variance in half on parking, take it from 6 to 3, cut your variance on impervious surface from 19.75% to half of that, and he came back only given 2 spaces and only 5% impervious. So now I'm thinking, since we know he sold the building that he built in Downers Grove, and it's lovely, and
30
it's on
seconds.
Fairview, and it's a great location, I'm thinking, are we just helping him build a building that he can sell? So he didn't want to do a green roof. Doesn't look good on a sales presentation. You know, once this building is built, you, the village, have lost all control. This is a private development, it's not in a TIF. This is the time, the only time, we've never felt like we got our concerns about parking and safety addressed, and that's a big part of it. We have young families all over, and they're not happy about all the cars. So, and if this is one bedroom with 2 bathroom units only, that's a problem too. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else, public comments on agenda items?
I'm Alicia Bailey. I live at 419 South Princeton, right down the street. I guess my biggest concern is Mr. Ross has put together 2 different plans, but neither one has been able to meet our codes, meet the residents' concerns. So if you would grant him another year extension, where do we go from here? Are we going to ask somebody to stick with our codes, which are the codes that you are entrusted to enforce, that planning and zoning have come up with just recently? So my concern is come up with a legitimate plan that we can all live with, come up with a legitimate plan that the residents can live with, that meet our codes. And we want something built there, we just want it to agree with our neighborhood, to agree with our neighbors, to agree with our codes. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alicia.
We didn't ever sign a sheet in the beginning, so.
Okay, anyone else, comments, public comments on the agenda items?
And I'll sign in after because my name's hyphenated and it's long. I'm Dr. Joanne Jones-Meehan, and my husband Brian Meehan is here. We live at 525 South Villa Avenue. And first I'm going to say I'm going to read from the letter I sent all of the trustees and the president last night, and you probably didn't have time to read it. But I'm going to repeat that it would be nice in this day and age that Villa Park actually has something that says, or an acknowledgement for receipt received, because I blind copy myself so I know it went through, but didn't get an acknowledgement from anyone that they even received it. We're here to say we'd like you to vote no on this extension for a lot of what you've already heard. The developer has not submitted anything for over 11 months. There's been no updated communication by the developer until now, 11 months later, on wanting an extension on the 4 variances. What the developer provided was a single-page concept drawing of the outside of the building. For this Board of Trustees meeting, the minimum parking variance did not pass at the meeting on August 22nd. While we're pro-development, for this site, it needs to be right-sized and it has to address sufficient parking and safety for the residents. Certainly, what you've already talked about is there are parking overflow issues at apartment buildings all over town due to insufficient amount of parking dedicated tenants. Examples of that are at North and Kramer, Terrace and Princeton, St. Charles and Ardmore, Ardmore and Sunset, Princeton and Park Boulevard. And what you're going to find is you're going to get, since there's no overnight parking, you're going to get them in private lots. That's around this development will be businesses. It will be the churches. Right across the Prairie Path is Trinity Lutheran. That'll be free parking, and they'll park there overnight. We go to St. Alexander's Catholic Church, and the lot is right there on Ardmore, as well as the public library. And what you're going to find is with insufficient parking and no zoning for overnight, renters and visitors to this development will now go to these other business lots. And what that means is this will create towing issues for those places. It will be possible insurance liabilities, parking inconveniences for the churches, businesses, the library, and residential buildings. So this building has to have sufficient parking provided for all the tenants, and looking at where, if you have young professionals and empty nesters, you're going to have visitors, and you're going to have people there at parties late at night and overnight. Certainly, when you're talking about a one-bedroom and a den that has a full bathroom, that's not something that you're
30
going to...
seconds.
You don't have a powder room, you're going to have people staying because they can get a shower. So we urge you to vote no on the extension of these variances. Thank you. And
Thank
I'll
you.
sign that later because my name's long.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to item number 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any? Oops.
Hi, everyone. Patrice Gallagher, 36
President
South
Kazon, can I just make a suggestion that our village clerk doesn't interrupt our speakers? I just find it very disrupting when a speaker is speaking. I understand there's an alarm at the end of 3 minutes, and we're trying to keep it at 3 minutes. But at 2.5 minutes, you don't need the 30-second warning.
Yeah, I believe they do need a little warning, yeah.
Yeah, they like to see
Yeah,
it, I think.
I'm sorry.
Good.
They do need it.
Okay.
Okay, Patrice Gallagher, 36 South Monterey. I'll try and keep my comments simple. I think the biggest thing is that the building is just too big for the postage stamp size lot that it would be built on. Again, parking, huge issue. Who's going to deal with the consequences, the probable consequences of the parking, the snow removal, that back alley, and all the other ones that have been talked about ad nauseum, if the developer chooses to build, sell, bye-bye, and go? Is it going to be the board? Is it going to be the residents? Are we going to call the police? I don't see any of that happening. Again, the developer has had 1 year to complete what he needed to complete. I'm concerned that he can sell the ordinances if he sells the building. You know, the MXT zoning, a lot of us think it was kind of a confusing thing. Comprehensive plan coming up. How does this big, tall building that doesn't fit on our very special section of the Prairie Path, how does it all come together? This section of the Prairie Path is very special, from Ovaltine to the woods. It's open, it's an oasis, you sit out at the gazebo, it's lovely. And then with this big giant building, it's just like a sore thumb, it doesn't fit there. I actually like the modern design of it. Anywhere else in Villa Park, I'd say yes. But for this spot, it just doesn't work. So I'm asking all of us to thoughtfully and carefully consider, even if you have your minds made up, like our native peoples did. They thought 7 generations ahead. How are my thoughts and actions going to affect, let's say, 20 years? That's 140 years in the future. Let's do what the people that built and created our Prairie Path, we are the recipients of their gift that they have given to us. Let's be good stewards like we are of this area. And I would say lastly, let's consider the 3 P's of business. I used to say people, planet, and profit.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Now I say planet, people, and profit, in that order. And hence, I respectfully request that you vote no. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comments on agenda items? Okay. Okay, now we'll go to 4 amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments proposed? Okay, seeing none, we will move to item 5A, is a presentation by our state representative, Diane Blair Sherlock, on legislative updates.
Hello. Is this working?
Should be.
Okay. Hi, I'm Diane Blair Sherlock. I'm the representative for the 46th District. I have my office over by the Funky Java there. This is my first year as a state rep. I have to say that it has been a pleasure, and it's been an honor, and I appreciate everybody's faith in me. I've been working with the village since January, pretty much, when I went into office. The village president and village manager came to an open house, and I've been trying to work with the village managers in my district. It's my job as a state representative to work on legislation and to work on constituency concerns that deal with state agencies. I got a little thrown off by the General Assembly references you were making earlier. But I get a lot of calls, actually, about the village. And I would like everybody to know that while I live in Villa Park, so I know a little bit, my job is really the state, and I can't tell the village what to do. Today, I actually got a call from a gentleman about the electric aggregate program, or the electric, change program. And I would like, if you guys could tonight, maybe to address the fact that it was my understanding after Saturday that people can still opt out, right? They're not stuck in it for 25 months. Because that's what I told the gentleman. I hope I was right. But on the other hand, what I've been working on in Springfield is I was able to secure some funding for Villa Park for some sewer separation work. I was a co-sponsor on, and we increased the funding for LGDF, which we're still going to try and get some more increased funding on that, but it's tough. There's 118 of us, so, we have to get everybody to agree. I also have been working on K through 12 is my focus, so K through 12 appropriations, K through 12 policy and curriculum, and energy and environment, and I'm part of the Green Caucus. I really like some of the things that Villa Park does in that space. I think it's important. In fact, this electric program, I didn't opt out because I'm about green energy, so, I'm willing to pay a little more for that. But also, I think Villa Park was one of the first towns that did the green roof. And I really think that that's a great addition to the community and to sending a message about how green Villa Park is. But I also want people to know that I take things into consideration, and if something is affecting the village, I am going to reach out to the village, right? I'm going to talk to them. I've spoken to the village president. I've spoken to the village manager. I know a lot of the trustees. I hope everybody knows they can reach out and contact me. I have a town hall the third Monday of the month, every month. It's by Zoom, not in person. But I do that because the district is big, and that way I'm not slighting one part of the district for the benefit of another part of the district. Everybody can attend by Zoom. I'd like to speak to one more piece of legislation, then I'll let you go because I know you have a busy night. House Bill 3751 is a bill that we passed, and that is a bill that allows people who are here legally to be police officers, okay? It is not about people who are here illegally. There has been falsehood spread about this legislation. In fact, people have come after me about this legislation, but they haven't read the legislation and they're not aware of it. It says that people who are in this country and legally authorized to work and can legally obtain a firearm under federal law can be police officers. Clearly, that's not somebody who's here without legal status. So I just want to be really clear about that. I also want to call to everybody's attention that a lot of the local police departments are desperate for officers. If you're interested, if you know a family member who's interested, we're going to be posting on my webpage in a week or so a list of the different departments that are looking for officers, but we are desperately in need of officers. We're in need of teachers. We're in need of social workers. Almost every day I hear from a new contingency that they don't have enough workers. So please, if you know somebody looking for a job, they're welcome to apply. But we need people in these spaces, and that's important. And I want to just again thank everybody. I'd like to thank the village for your collaboration, and thank everybody for putting your faith in me. And if you need me, just reach out. I'm available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being there.
Thank you.
I'd like to also say that I've heard a lot of good comments. BMMC people are very impressed by you, your first year in office, so you keep doing a good job. You're doing a great job down there. Thank you.
If I could, President Kazan, I've worked in 3 different states with multiple different representatives, and I don't think I've ever had a state representative's office that's as responsive as yours is, so I really appreciate it. And you really take the legislation and get down into the depth of it, wonky, as you like to say it about yourself. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6, the consent agenda. Item 6A, the bill listings for the weeks of July 24th and 31st and August 7th, 2023, in the total amount of $1,201,229, excuse me, and 71 cents. Item 6B is the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on July 24th, 2023, and item 6C, minutes from Coffee with the Board meeting on August 5th, 2023. Up in the minutes as amended, I'm sorry, as amended. I think we had a misspelling in there one time. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Kumar, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery, all in favor, any questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casella?
Yes. Okay, move on to item 7, ordinances. Item 7A is an ordinance authorizing a variation for a minimum side yard setback of 4 feet instead of 6 feet, located at 613 South Cornell Avenue. Manager Harlan.
The petitioner and property owner, Michael McCarthy, is seeking approval of a variation for a side yard setback of 4 feet instead of the required 6 feet from Table 2-3 of Article 2, Section 2.3, Lot and Building Regulations of the zoning ordinance located at 613 South Cornell. There's a detailed memo, and also we have our Community Development Director, Mark McLaughlin, here if you have any questions. And I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Kozar?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to make that second.
Great. I'd like to say I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting when the petitioner was there, and it's not a major variance, but it looks like it's going to be a nice addition, a second story on a house on South Cornell. Something we like to see here in Villa Park, people fixing up their houses. So. Trustee Kozar?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I know Mike and Stephanie, and they kind of represent what I think is really good about Villa Park. They moved in here, they've now had 3 children and are outgrowing their house, but rather than moving out of town and finding something different, they're staying with us, and we appreciate that. I would, as a separate issue to that, it just seems like this took a long time for you and your family to do all this planning, and we're really talking about 24 inches of setback. And I would like to see in future discussions, if there's a way to expedite when we have small variances like this, because I could see how if Mike and Stephanie weren't, as enthusiastic and happy with Villa Park, how just the frustration and the expense of doing something like this could cause somebody to say, forget it, I'll just go somewhere else. And we don't want to lose, other people coming down, coming down the road, so to speak, that are doing stuff like this. So maybe there's a way that for future ones, we can look at some expedited process.
Okay.
But thank you for building here and staying with us, and good luck with your family as it grows.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Casella?
Yes. So good luck to you. Okay, item 7B is an ordinance authorizing variations to increase the allowable maximum building height to 30 feet, where the maximum allowed height is 28 feet, and to allow the minimum front yard setback to be reduced to 21 feet, where the minimum allowed is 30 feet, located at 230 North 2nd Street. Manager Harlan.
The petitioner, Stephen Flint of Flint Architects, is seeking approval for two variations from Article 2, Section 2.3, Lot and Building Regulations. The maximum building height of 30 feet, where the maximum allowed is 28 feet, and the second variation is to request allow the minimum front yard setback to be reduced to 21 feet, where 31 feet is required. A detailed memo is included in the packet, and if you have additional questions, the Community Development Director, Mark McLaughlin, is here to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make that.
Trustee Kozar? Second, Trustee Corkery? Again, as Trustee Kozar said, this is a nice variation I'd like to see. People want to remodel their home and stay in Villa Park, and again, I was at that P&Z meeting, and it passed without any opposition there, so. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornacki, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's just replacing the existing one, right? Is that why? They're not moving it forward.
They're adding on to it, correct?
It's an existing nonconformity, but I'll let
Sorry, yeah, I
Mark,
don't want to. Yeah, they're in for building permit right now, and we noted that these are these would be required variations to approve that building permit. The exterior front porch is being removed, but there's a second-story elevation that we have to measure from. So it will look different, but the technical reading of the code is that the furthest to the street is where we have to measure from. Yeah, all right.
Okay. Questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, item 7C is an ordinance extending the expiration of variations for 27 West Park Boulevard. Manager Hartline.
This is an ordinance for variation. An ordinance for variation is valid for 1 year unless the project has begun construction or an extension is granted by the village board. This ordinance would extend the expiration of ordinances 4297, 4298, 4299, and 4300 from August 22, 2023 to August 22, 2024. The owner of the property is here and has has a couple of items to present if allowed, and of course, our Community Development Director is here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Just for clarification, the ordinances that are being extended are ordinances number 4298, 4299, 4300, and 4301.
Yes.
As stated in the attached ordinance. So the ordinance that you'll be approving is correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kozar?
I'll second.
Okay. Questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
If the developer is going to be presenting something to the board, I would recommend that we open it up to public discussion as well, so that way they can have additional questions or concerns answered from the developer.
Wouldn't that be an amendment?
Otherwise, that should have been taking place in agenda items.
Trustee Kozar?
I would agree with Trustee Patrick's comment that if he's bringing new information, that there could be a little dialogue on it, maybe brief.
Okay. I'm okay with that, yeah, as long as it's brief discussion, I'm okay with that.
I mean, they could sign in and do the same 3-minute rule or whatever for discussion if someone has to say something.
All right. First off, I know there was a lot of people speaking out against this extension. I don't know if everyone has known that the developer did reduce the size of the building to 3 stories. He spent a lot of time and effort, and that's kind of one of the reasons why it's taken so long of redesigning the building. So if, I don't know if Craig, if you want to come up and kind of give a little presentation.
I'm Craig with Ross Builders. I'm the owner of the property at 27 West Park Boulevard. As far as the 4 variance requests, obviously, we're looking for an extension, as mentioned. I'll give you a quick little timeline. In February of last year, the Traffic and Safety Commission supported our project. In June of last year, the village staff supported the approval of the 4 variances. In June of last year, the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval of the 4 variances. And in August of last year, the village approved the 4 variances. And now, August 2023, the village staff does support the extension of our request. So we have significantly revised the plans for a few reasons. One, we wanted to accommodate the community input in those revisions. That being said, we still needed things to work for the lender, the architect, the engineers, the building code. I actually sold one of my buildings, as was mentioned, because I needed to come up with more money. With interest rates higher, construction costs higher, I need to put down more money to make the numbers work for the bank. But this new plan, which I'll go over real quickly, should make most everyone happy. If we do get the extension, we think we'll be able to submit construction plans to the building department in about 3 months. So the previous community input and current current community input that you just heard today was a lower building height, so reducing the building size, lowering the number of bedrooms, lowering the parking requirement, allow for guest parking, and reduce the impervious area. Our revised plans will lower the building by about 10 feet, so we're going to remove the 4th floor. The MXT does allow for 5 floors. We had submitted plans when we went for the variances with 4 floors. We've now reduced it down to 3 floors. Just to kind of give you an example, someone had mentioned Ovaltine. Ovaltine's actually 4 floors and right up against the Prairie Path. We've reduced the square footage of the building by 8,500 square feet, which is very significant. We've reduced the number of bedrooms by 10, again, a very significant number. And I think, again, this seemed to be the topic that was brought up the most, which was parking, not only in the past, but again, tonight. We've reduced the parking spaces required from 37 to 27. Again, a very significant number, not just 2 or 3. We are still going to provide, our original plan that we had provided 33 parking spaces. I don't want to put that in writing right now. I think it's just going to be 32, but we're still going to try for 33. So to be conservative, I'm going to say 32 parking spaces, which means we're going to have 5 up and beyond what's required, which means we have 5 parking spaces for guests, which again was another important topic that was brought up. And don't forget, we're still going to be adding the 6 street parking public spaces because we're losing a curb cut and going to be adding striped spaces on the street. And then we've reduced the impervious area to 70%. So this was the previous north elevation. So if you see the white area on the left there, that was the 4th floor. We've now eliminated that. This is the new proposed plan that we've revised. You'll notice that white area is gone, the 4th floor is gone. This is the west side. So you can see the brown bump out area, that's actually the stairwell. To the right of that, you can see that gray area, that was the 4th floor. Here's the new revised plan. You notice that area is gone. The brown staircase still goes up to the roof because we need roof access for maintenance and safety. And that's it. I was told to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes, so that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. And do you want to stay there in case people want to ask you questions? Anyone want to ask any questions or comments? If you could just come up, please. State your name. Please state your name. State your name,
Molly
please.
Cars. I live on Princeton, 442. So I just had 2 questions. At one of the meetings before, we had talked about your garage feeding out away from Princeton. Is that part of the plan?
No, we still have to keep it on Princeton. That was one of the...
No, I mean, stayed on Princeton, but you were going to have like a curb, so...
Oh, yes. Yeah, that stays. No, that hasn't
stays.
changed. Right.
Okay, and I guess my other question would be, if you, like that sounds nice, and you're saying you're going to put those in a few months, can it go back to what it was in a few months, and then he still is approved with what was? Do you know what I mean?
No, because one of the, I'll let Mark more often, but I think one of the variations that was denied was parking.
Yeah, if the 4 variations are extended this evening, any building plan or site plan submittal that matches those 4 variants or the code can be submitted and permit can be issued.
Okay, so it could be different from this proposal as long as it
Right.
meets those.
Right.
Okay,
It
I
could
was
be-
just curious.
It could be 2 stories.
Right.
But it could also be up to 5, whichever the code allows and whatever will be marketed.
Thank you.
Molly, please sign in.
Oh, yes, I will.
Thank you.
I have a question, actually.
Sure, go ahead, Trustee Corkery.
So the old plan would not fit in under the variances, correct? But the new
Correct.
plan does?
That's correct.
I have a question. So just to reiterate what we just learned, the new plan, he's not bound to this in any way. He just has to meet the codes, the 4 variances, and the 5 Ace Hardware items. So my question's about, is the footprint any bigger on this one?
Footprint's the same.
Footprint's the same? And the 20, how many, so you reduce the number of bedrooms by 10. So the total number of units is what?
23.
Okay. And how many of those are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we have studios, 1 bedrooms. I think 2 bedrooms were only 4.
Okay, 2
Whatever,
bedrooms.
you know, obviously it's got to add up to that
And are you still planning on doing
27.
1 bedrooms with 2 full baths?
No, we had to obviously eliminate a lot of bedrooms. Well, I shouldn't say, I don't know if there's a 1 bedroom with 2 baths. I don't think there is. But obviously we had to eliminate a lot of bathrooms, dens, all that to make it all work.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head what
Is
those numbers were, but it
the-
was significant.
The 2 bedrooms, 2 full baths in 1 bedroom apartment was an item of concern. So you,
A lot of those, if not all, have been eliminated. I don't know off the top of my head how many.
okay, but a lot of them,
A lot, significant number,
okay,
just to make
Those-
this work on 3 floors now.
okay. So those were the first questions that came to my head, thank you.
Patrice Gallagher. Right now, I feel concerned that, let's refer to you as you.
Sure.
That you don't know the amount of bedrooms or studios or what's going to be there.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know for certain it's 27 bedrooms.
Okay. I feel like I'd like to know. I think we should all know what they're going to be. Studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. I feel concerned that you don't have the plan here now in writing, that it's just words.
Well, I didn't want to spend more money on the plans, that, you know, until we got the approval. But if, and we can throw this out to the board, you know, if you want to make this contingent upon there being 27 bedrooms, I'm absolutely fine with that. That'll guarantee it for you.
I wouldn't mind some contingencies.
Just from a legal perspective, the only thing the board can do at this point is either decide to continue the variation or not. Additional requirements cannot be added to this at this time. So the question is whether or not you would like to extend the duration of those existing variations that have already been granted.
So quick question. If we now say, yes, you have an extension for the 3 floors, but it's not for 3 floors, and he comes back with, you know, drawings for 5 or 4, whatever it would be, what recourse do we have from there?
The variations did not regulate the floors because the plans that were provided were within the code with respect to the number of floors. The variation that was not granted last year related to the parking spaces and the reduction of the parking spaces. That's what is the impetus for the change in the plans, so that now the required number of parking spaces can be met with the proposed development. So with respect to, the zoning code already dictates how many floors can be there. It's just a matter of whether the parking can be there as well.
Trustee Kumar.
Suppose that you vote no on this, what is the recourse by the builder to build this building here? what are their possibilities? Do they have to just go through P and Z again? What is the process?
Well, he could,
Sure. A no vote on this would mean that there's no extension to the 4 approved variances, and they expire on August 22nd.
And then the process starts again, basically, if he...
If he chooses to resubmit. Yeah,
That's up to him.
That's not what we're discussing today.
No,
Yes.
the question is there a recourse by the builder to build what he wants to build, irrespective of our decision today?
Yeah, and so the request today specifically is for an extension, which does not include additional public hearing notifications, which is why I went straight to Village Board, not the Planning and Zoning first. So it's a straight extension, and as Melissa pointed out, no conditions on variations. What you see is his good faith effort of what wants to be built, but anything that fits the code can be submitted for a building permit and issued.
So, and just to reiterate about that, if we reject the extension on these 4 variations, it does not prevent him from building a building. It just prevents him from building a building that requires
More variations.
These variations.
Correct.
So as
There's an
long as he
allowed by
keeps-
right opportunity as well, yeah.
Right. If it meets the parking and the permeable space and the, so whatever else is by right in that zone, if he doesn't need a variation, he could build that anyway, even if these do not pass.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, this was not done as a plan development, which would have been here's the plan, here's the exact thing we're going to build, we're going to tie it to this. This was for variation requests, not a plan development where you approve a particular, very specific set of plans.
So, you use the term in good faith. You said good faith something. And I just feel like, my gut is like, I'm not trusting something. Like, I understand what you shared as to why you could not bring finished plans here. But there just seems to be that empty space, like trust, that what you say you're going to do, you're going to do. Just a reference about Ovaltine. Yes, it's 4 stories. Ovaltine fits this section of the Prairie Path. It anchors it. You don't even notice it's there, or you do. And I appreciate the 3 stories. If it could be 2 stories, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me. Regarding just the uniformity, it's mostly 1-story buildings and with some 2 stories. I understand MXT allowed you to do 5. I don't know, I feel concerned. So that's just my final comments.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Trustee Corkery. If I could just say my piece on this, because I spoke extensively to the residents of the neighborhood last year about it. I myself am a resident in the neighborhood. I can see the site in question from my kitchen window, actually. And I know you all have heard me talk about the environmental benefits of density, the need for that kind of project. I mean, projects like this are one of the things I wanted to see get done during my tenure as trustee. And I feel like stopping this project would be allowing the automobile to continue to strangle our urban development. So I'm in favor of it. The variances that are under discussion, I already voted for. I supported them at the time. I still think they're reasonable, and it seems to me that the developer has made a good faith effort to conform to the requests of the village, to the variances for the location. The only concern I have that a couple residents did raise that I was interested in asking about was the fact that the variances will stay with the property even if it's sold. Is that correct? If we offer an extension?
Yeah, once the building's built.
But I mean, suppose it's sold without being built. Would we keep those variances or would those terminate?
I believe so.
As long as those variances are still in effect. So if it's sold within 12 months and development commences within that time period, the new owner would get the benefit of those variances.
Would there be any way that we could add a termination clause with the sale to make sure that this is the project that gets built, that some other developer doesn't take it over?
No, because a variance would run with the land.
Right.
So no, you would not be able to restrict it to a particular owner.
And would it be possible to shorten the term and then look at it again maybe 6 months from now, just to make sure that it stays this project, that this is the project we're looking at, and that...
The board has the opportunity to extend the variation for up to 12 months, but that's all you can do. And so you can't do this again. So
We
you
cannot
would not
extend
be-
again?
No. So if you shortened the term, you would be confined to it expiring if 12 months wasn't enough. So you can only consider it one time.
And I have a question for the developer. Do you feel that 6 months would be an adequate amount of time for an extension to?
I think that would be a little tight. My architect and engineers told me 3 months. When they tell you 3, that sometimes means 4.
Yeah.
And I know building department, and maybe you guys know better than I, but usually they're 2 or 3 months for a project this big. So I think that would be a little tight. If 9 months, I would feel comfortable with 9 months. If 9 months made everyone feel better, I don't see any issue with 9 months, that's for sure. It definitely should be able to get done in 9 months, if that helps.
9 months would be amenable to me.
Question, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
How long-
Trustee.
How long would it take, just hypothetically, to unload this property?
I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, it's not for sale today. There was no plans for it to be for sale. To sell a commercial piece of property, I mean, takes usually a long time. I mean, it's months, and then there's due diligence periods of months, and then closing is a month or two later. I mean, it usually takes a while. I think the property was for sale for a long time, and it wasn't even, the first buyer that wanted it actually went, and that's what happens more with commercial properties, obviously. So to unload it in a year, a project like this, especially in this environment, interest rates are really high right now. Things aren't selling nearly as quickly as they were. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. And then, go ahead.
I have a question. So I remember a year ago,
Right.
and one of the concerns was the den not really being a den, but being a bedroom.
Right.
And then when you were talking about eliminating bedrooms, I just want to be clear, were you talking about real bedrooms, or were you talking
Real
about
bedrooms. It's something with a window that's got a closet, that has a door, that was originally a bedroom, and therefore needed the parking has been eliminated. No dens have been added, and as I mentioned, a significant number, and I can't, don't hold me to this part, I almost think all the dens have been eliminated, if not a very significant number. Again, that's the number I don't have in my head. My architect has it. Someone had mentioned, do we know it? Yeah, somebody knows it. I just didn't bring that number up here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to sign in, but I have one quick question. One of the variances that didn't pass was the lot coverage, and you're showing now that you reduced the impervious area to 70%. But could you explain that, since you're taking a floor away, but you said it's covering the same footprint? So how did you reduce it to 70% for the impervious area?
So part of that would be eliminating that one parking space that I talked about, and then also going to permeable pavers in some areas to get to that number.
Sure.
And again, the plans are going to have to come in and to community development for approval, and they'll adjust that. Make sure that's in line. Trustee Cordova?
Can you walk us through just, we don't have any floor plans, but are there, what's, laundry, is that in the unit?
In the
Is there
unit.
one room for like 5 laundries, like?
So these are what I call condo quality, meaning if 10 years from now, condos are back in vogue, because right now they're not, apartments are, these could be divided off as condominiums. They have independent metering, their own heating and air, obviously their own bathrooms, their own laundry, everything's separate in that regard.
Trustee Corkery, I had an opportunity to look at the specific provision of the code regarding extensions on variations, and unlike extensions on special uses, I do not read that there is a limit on the amount of requests. It's just a limit on the duration. So if this board did grant only, say, a 9-month extension, there would be the opportunity for the owner to come back and request 3 additional months, so they'd get a total of a year. I don't read the code to restrict, if you decided to confine it to a lesser time, that they couldn't ask again. I think you can ask again under the code.
So my understanding would, sorry.
Trustee Cordova?
My understanding, we give him 3 months because he says he's going to put the construction in, or the building drawings, is that correct, or whatever it would be?
Well, 3 months is when they have to have the building permit, which would never happen.
Okay.
Because it would take the building department 2 or 3 months just to approve plans if I had them ready today.
So when,
Right,
when,
is that right?
when will you have those, when will you have those ready, you think?
That's the 3 months.
The 3 months?
Yeah, but it'd be another 2 or 3 months of back and forth with the building department to actually get the permit.
And the project has to start.
Start in a year, right?
Right, correct.
So just real quick, so would we be able to hold it at 3 months? 3 months, he comes in, gives us an update, another 3 months, and then by that time, he'll have a building permit, 3 months after that, and we just extend it for 3 months for a whole year?
If you extended it for the first 3 months, we would have to do a formal ordinance approval extending it again. And if for some reason it doesn't line up with the calendar, the variation would lapse.
Got it.
He requested 1 year. Staff is also in support of 1 year. It'll get us through the full engineering, design, staff submittal. There's always a hiccup, and then the construction season doesn't actually start until after that. Staff supports for a 12-month extension.
And the extension is until construction starts?
It's a building permit has been issued.
Okay.
Correct.
Just goes there.
Originally, when we all voted, it seemed like voting down some of the ordinances and voting for some of the ordinances were kind of a compromise. I've done a bunch of building, and I understand that it takes time when you have to kind of redo what your plan is. So if I voted for it 12 months ago, nothing has changed. I don't see why I wouldn't just allow some extra time, especially because I'm a proponent of treating everybody the same way. We have extended Ecoterra, we've extended the Union, we've granted a number of other extensions. We're not changing what we're allowing or not allowing, we're just simply giving more time. This is a difficult environment for any sort of construction, any sort of building. And if we are trying to encourage development in Villa Park, which I remind you, Villa Park is the least developed suburb of all our surrounding communities. But if we are encouraging that, we have to be able to work with our builders. We've had a number of conversations, including some public meetings, where we've tried to get together with various builders and tried to understand why builders don't want to build in Villa Park and what the problems are. So not to allow just an extension, no special privileges, nothing different, just to continue in the same compromised position that we were in 12 months ago, is to also speak publicly and say, Villa Park still is a difficult place to work, because even if you have legitimate reasons and you go back to the drawing board and you try to accommodate the residents as best that you can, that the hammer can still drop down on you. If this was extended for only 3 months, if this was my project, I don't know that I'd want to invest $50,000 into redoing plans or however much money it is. I mean, it's big money, and if it's not extended at that point in another 3 months, you just lose that money. Right now, we have an empty parking lot, and we've had an empty parking lot for years, as long as I can ever remember. Finally, we have somebody that wants to do something with that parking lot and is willing to invest their time and their money and try to put something there. It's easy for somebody else that doesn't have any financial investment into a property to say, well, you should change it this way, you should change it that way. But we've also talked up here on the board about empowering our commissions. And Traffic and Safety, our commission, has voted that they're okay with some of the variances. And now,
Sorry, hang on. Wait till you...
well, it's just what we've seen up here. Are we saying, is it incorrect that Traffic and Safety did not approve?
In the minutes, it says Traffic and Safety supported the project.
That's what I've seen,
Back a
too.
year ago.
I'm sorry, you can't speak unless you're...
And then planning and zoning has approved these variances. So again, I bring us back to 12 months ago. It was always my understanding that the disapproval of certain variances was the compromise position. And we've allowed the builder to go back and spend money, spend time, and try to redo those plans. We've also granted extensions to other builders in town, simply extensions. So I think we need that consistency. And I think that allowing him 12 months to see if he can put it together and come up with something based on what we collectively as a board have voted for previously and have allowed, should be allowed, especially in this market.
Do you want to say something?
Thank you. I appreciate this. I just wanted to say that I felt what Trustee Kozar started with about how, oh, these plans that we see, he's really worked hard, and we've never seen this until just now. So the residents are operating off of, promises that we heard last year, and now all we're seeing is more promises. This looks more promising. The studios was something that, we were just in the dark. We didn't know anything. So we didn't know how many units, 23?
Correct.
Right? We don't know how many studios, but you got rid of a bunch of dens.
Correct.
Not sure if they're all. So I guess he can be held to that, but we had nothing. So I thought it was very unfair against the residents. And the other thing is that all those meetings we went to last year, planning and zoning didn't end up, a lot of those commissioners thought they were going to end up doing, do we think the plan in front of us now is going to be safe as far as traffic and safety? And they were going to vote, no, we don't think it is. But the chair at the last minute said, oh no, we're not doing that. That's not what we do. We're going to make a list of 5 things to make this plan safer. And that's what they passed. Does anybody want to, Bob, is that correct? Oh, never mind. It is. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't. I just thought a little backup might be nice, but that's okay, Bob. Anyway, thanks for letting me speak again. Thank you.
Any other? Yeah. Trustee Alfano.
So I am generally for development in our area, and I do hear what Trustee Kozar has mentioned, but he also mentioned the Union and Ecoterra, and if you ask around, we do have mixed reviews on how those developments are going. I am of the persuasion of going very slow with developments, and I know that that is not a popular opinion when it comes to developers. But I really do feel that if we are just now having the residents and even some of ourselves hearing more of these details tonight, I do have some concerns. I also have some concerns just in general about, not particularly with this particular development, but what this might do in the future for other developments on the Prairie Path. I do hear that statement. I think I go back to that Barnum plan of Chicago where we have the lakefront and we have the lakeshore. And this is our Prairie Path is our lakeshore. This is our pride and our joy, and this is our garden. This is where our kids can still play, because while we have our rec center that is being built, we still have a generation of kids that have lost playground space. And so that is our playground space. And I do want to make sure that that is protected in some form or fashion. And as we continue to have this discussion, but then also future discussions on development on the Prairie Path area, I hope that we would continue to think about that as well.
That's a good point, and I think the comprehensive plan that will eventually be developed, we'll definitely take that into account, because our trails are one of the big selling points of Villa Park. Trustee Kumar.
I also have a problem with the fact that we're only seeing this today. I do not like to vote on anything without vetting out or discussing a plan until the day of when the plan comes. We didn't get any of this previously.
I emailed this out to all the trustees 3 weeks ago.
I understand, but a lot of it is still recent for me. You know, it's not, the discussion didn't go out to the people. There hasn't been any community input on this particular plan, and that's my problem. It's not only, we shouldn't just be voting as trustees on it. We need to get input from the people of Villa Park.
Go ahead, Mark.
Trustee Kumar, the ordinance is specific that it does not require an additional public hearing or notification or meetings. It's just board action to extend. So the grant for opening up for presentation and public comment is above and beyond the requirements of the ordinance, which is why there wasn't a planning and zoning's type memo presented in advance. It's not a relitigation. These are approved. Do you want to extend them? This is courtesy, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Corcoran.
I was just going to say the same thing, to remind everyone that we already approved this a year ago. We already vetted these and found them to be adequate.
Yeah, the city code requires that this is purely a board decision regarding the extension of a variation that was already granted. It's not, there's no public hearing required on this. So as Director McLaughlin said, this is above and beyond what's required. And I would not have recommended any other process other than board consideration, because you can't do something for one and then not do something for others. You have to follow what's dictated by the village code.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that I am in favor of development. I will agree with Trustee Corkery that the environmental effects of building right now are huge. Density is an issue. We should be focusing on density. However, as a trustee, I find it extremely hard to ignore a petition with over 500 signatures on there from over a year ago. I find it hard to ignore the multiple hours and the time spent that these residents trying to contact all of the board members, trying to have involvement and engagement in conversations. And with the showing that comes out here today, I mean, in general, our meetings aren't that fun and exciting. So, you know, we've got a big crowd here tonight. So it's hard for me to ignore the residents that actually put me in this seat here. And I have to listen. I have to listen. Do I think that development is important? Yes. And Mr. Ross, however this vote goes tonight, I hope that you are still interested in developing property here. But we have, I have to listen to my constituents. This is why I'm here. And I think, and I appreciate you extending us the ability to let the community ask further questions and get more information from you. But I can't ignore the petition and the time that went into this for the residents to try to contact me that have come out in force about not being in favor of these extensions. So I cannot dispute that here. So I cannot be in favor of this extension at this time. We just have too many people here, too many people that have been contacted, and I apologize, Dr. Joanne, you're talking about not being able to respond to your emails. One of the reasons is because I have received a ton of emails from residents not in support of this project, and I just simply have to catch up on those. So there are plenty of emails here from other people that I could read that support this. But as a trustee, as an elected official, I have to listen to my constituents that put me in this chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Reneke.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
No.
President Kazone?
I have to vote yes on this one. I think our developer, he's tried to take into account what the residents have, so I'm going to vote yes on that. Okay, so that will pass, and hope to see some plans soon. Okay, we'll move on to item 8A, is a resolution to approve and authorize the execution of a professional engineering services agreement by and between RJN Group, Inc. and the Village of Villa Park for the 2022 sanitary sewer master plan preparation in an amount not to exceed $156,490. Manager Harline.
The village, with assistance from RJN, created a sanitary sewer master plan to recommend improvements to the village sanitary sewers in 2008. The village has implemented several of the recommendations, made other necessary repairs to the system, and created a long-term plan to separate the combined sanitary/stormwater sewers. The proposed agreement is the completion of the update to the sanitary sewer master plan that was started last year, and will finalize the plan. The agreement was budgeted in the FY23 budget and will utilize the wastewater enterprise fund account 83.502.02.292 engineering services. Staff recommends approval of this agreement. Public Works Director Mike Guerra is here in attendance if you have any questions. This is a very important part of moving forward with the sanitary sewer, combined sewer project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano? Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kernicki, please.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Well, item 8B is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the village president to execute a parking easement agreement with Hawthorne World Villa Park LP. Manager Harline.
The Hawthorne Development Corporation, Inc. of Burr Ridge, Illinois, otherwise herefore known as Hawthorne, is in breach of our redevelopment agreement, including failure to deed back property for 403 through 409 North Beverly in Villa Park, Illinois. While the easement is not the final resolution of that section of the RDA, it is an effective method to provide access and use to the village in the interim. By approving the easement, the village gains full legal access to the site without being additionally bound or disadvantaged. In other words, it just does not have any effect on us getting ownership once we have a new RDA. Staff has agreed to update the zoning letter to say that the RDA was under negotiation. If the first draft of the RDA will and we'll have copies to Hawthorne and the board soon. All ancillary documents to the easement agreement are signed and attached. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. So a key thing from the last time that we brought this before you is that we have the signed mortgage consent by Vaster, City National Bank of Florida, and by Hawthorne themselves. Basically, this gives us full access and use of the parking lot, which should already be ours. And then once we get the, once they have the mortgage paid and they can release it, we will get it. We are currently working on the RDA, and that should be available for the board to look in, a couple of weeks. But we've made we've gone through it, redlined it at staff with legal, and knowing what we know now, it will have more teeth than the original version.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Okay. I just like to say, Manager Harline and I met with Dr. Vish, the owner of Hawthorne, last week, and reiterated to him that we definitely want this project moving along as quickly as possible. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Kozar.
So we gave him this property, he didn't give it back to us, he's got it mortgaged up, and in this narrative here, it says that the mortgage will be paid. What is the plan to pay off the mortgage so that we outright get our property back?
Well, he has to get the refinancing, and there either a bridge loan or the final financing. He has worked with the staff and shown us the different options that he's looking at. And more recently, the last couple weeks, he's given us some more details. An RDA, if we sign this, if we accept and sign this easement, we have the property and everything but title. Now, when we get the rest of it will depend upon when we can get an RDA signed. And there will be some pushback because we're going to ask for more teeth in the agreement than we had last time. But he also has a tremendous amount of motivation to move forward because he's already put a significant amount of money into this. And during our discussions, there does not seem to be any interest in selling or moving on. He wants to build this project. So his only way forward is to get financing, and with the financing, he'll pay off that mortgage, and we'll get, whether either it's by a bridge loan or the full financing of the project.
So if he goes into foreclosure, the bank has the authority to sell our parking lot, right?
So this would give the village an easement and the right to use it. So even though the property would be owned by someone else, the village would have this easement that would run with the property with respect to the right to use it. Now, approving this easement agreement in no way relieves the developer from the obligations of the initial RDA, so it doesn't correct any breaches. The only thing that would do that would be a subsequent RDA that would amend the initial one that would come before the board for approval. But this would just give the village the perpetual right to utilize this area as parking.
So are you saying that the easement will run with the land in perpetuity, or the easement comes secondary to the mortgage? So that if the mortgage is foreclosed upon and there's sheriff's sale on the property itself, it would thereby terminate the easement?
The easement would not be terminated. The easement would run with the land, and the
In
village would
perpetuity?
have- Yes. So this would put the village in a better position than, with respect to the use of the property for parking, than without, even though they're currently in breach of their redevelopment agreement.
So the mortgage company signed off on giving this easement in perpetuity?
Correct, they consented. That was required as part of the easement.
So I'll take your word on that, but maybe after the meeting, you can just show that to me. You don't have to do it now. I defer to your expertise if that's what you've seen. That's important. So that means that even if it does get foreclosed upon, we still have a permanent right indefinitely to utilize that property.
Yes, part of the agenda packet too, it has the mortgagee consents.
B1.
B1 and B2, so.
Okay. And then you said you had a conversation, Manager Harline, with the developer. Has he shown you any current loan commitments?
He does not have we do not have a new pro forma, which would include the full loan commitments and everything like that. We've gone over the details of where he would like to move in terms of the financing of the project. We'll be sharing more information as we get the RDA ready with the board. But he's gone through 2 or 3 different options, and I think he's now settling on one, which I'd like to tell the board before I put it in the public venue.
Can we discuss that in the executive session? I think we're going in there tonight.
No.
We're not pending immediate litigation.
It wouldn't fall under an exception of
But I can,
Meetings Act.
if, I'll send it out in the next Friday. I'll give you an update on where we are. Next week, weekly update.
So I'm comfortable with this as long as it's a permanent run with the land easement, as you said that it would be.
Yes, so paragraph number 7 of the easement says it's a covenant running with the land. Paragraph 8 of the easement says if it's transferred ownership, the transferee automatically assumes the, and will be bound by the burdens and obligations of the easement. So it will continue.
Okay, thank you.
And this, but I don't know, I won't. I appreciate the work of Melissa and her firm in coming up with this solution, as well as staff.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
Yeah, I thank Melissa for coming up with the solution also. And I would like to ask though, after, I mean, the easement runs through and the point is to get that property conveyed to the village at one point. Still, that's our goal. Given that it's reconveyed at that point, what happens to the easement?
But once we own it, the easement would be pointless, and we'd own the easement.
We don't need to follow the easement. I mean, if it's conveyed to us, we still have to follow the easement, or we have to have a change in the process?
No, once it's.
Yeah, I mean, if we decide to sell that property once it's conveyed to us, does the easement still hold? Because it's a holding in perpetuity.
Unless we, yes, it would continue, you are correct. However, I believe once the village acquired the property, those easements would be released automatically by the municipal acquisition. So we wouldn't have to worry about a future transfer from the village to.
No, I don't know if there's another ordinance we have to pass or something to pass at that point to clear the easements. I just wasn't sure.
That would probably be part of the sale.
We'll deal
Would be
with
the-
that upon the
yeah.
acquisition of it. One of the other things I do want to point out, though, is that because this was on the table for a bit, being considered by the board, there is a provision in here, in an effort to push the developer into actually tendering the property to the village. There is a provision, number 11, talking about the conveyance of the property. And when this easement was originally drafted, that conveyance date, it was on or before August 30th of 2023. So essentially, this is requiring, again, that they convey the property in an expedited fashion. Now, if that doesn't happen under this agreement, their failure to, convey does not invalidate any of the easement rights under this agreement, so.
Trustee Petra.
Thank you. If this is approved tonight, for our residents, would you be able to give us a timeline of when this project might start getting underway?
We can send something out we've talked about that with them, and we've got a timeline in the draft RDA. I will say that as a matter of public record, that there is this, the zoning in this planned development expires on, do you remember the date, Mark? But there is a time at which they would have to go back through the rezoning process, and that's in the summer or late spring of 2024. It's like June something. I want to say the 12th, but somewhere in that vicinity, this project, the carriage turns to a pumpkin, and they have to start again.
So just to reiterate, you said before. What date of 2024 the project has to start off before they have to go back to the?
Mark, I think is. I'll get you that date, but there is a date certain, and I don't want to give out a wrong date. So, but there is, the point is that there's a point at which this has to move forward because of the nature of the original improvement. Everything works better if they get their financing moved forward. That's the best solution.
The reason why I ask is just like probably a lot of the other trustees up here, we've gotten a lot of questions regarding this development property. And people just want to know, when can they expect to see the mounds of dirt leveled? When can they see the fences go down and actually see some progress on this project?
Well, the answer to question A is different, hopefully, by many months to the answer to question B. But it's going to be, they're going to have to do some work to get their first the new building permit before they get started. So I'd say I would not expect anything to happen before Christmas. That would be, and probably next spring. But I think that's pretty promising. I think they've got, but things, we're talking about financing and a bunch of other things that have to come together. So.
Thank you.
And part of our discussion with Hawthorne was that the board is getting a lot of heat from the village, from residents, and, the board is tired of that. So I think it was reiterated again with Dr. Bish. Mark?
So the special use for that project was approved on June 14th of 2021, and special uses have a 3-year time frame to get that initial building permit.
You said of June?
June 14th, 2021. So June 14th of 2024.
I was off by 2 days.
Which, as Manager Harline just pointed out, would be very close to when they would actually be starting construction if we moved forward with the new RDA this year, go through engineering, building plan review, issue a permit. The construction season in Chicago starts in April.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Clerk Renecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 8C is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a joint funding agreement for construction work with the State of Illinois Department of Transportation, for the Tri-Trail Connector Project and appropriating funds for project costs. Manager Harline.
This is one of those ones that is really joyful to move forward on. The Tri-Trail Connector project is proposed in the Village of Villa Park's capital improvement program. The project has been bid and is ready to proceed to construction. The total estimated cost of the construction and construction engineering is $841,522. The village expects to receive approximately 80% federal funding with a maximum federal share of $653,360. The proposed joint funding agreement with IDOT is required in order to proceed with construction of the project. The estimated cost of the village's share of construction and construction engineering is $188,162. However, per the proposed agreement, the village must pay for the construction engineering costs directly and seek reimbursement from IDOT. For this reason, the total amount required to be appropriated is $273,362. Funds for the project would be taken from the Street Improvement Capital Fund.
Thank you. We have a motion for the resolution. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Second, Trustee Cordova. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Item 8D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering, Inc. of Itasca, Illinois, for construction engineering of the Tri-Trail Connector Project in an amount not to exceed $106,177. Manager Harline.
Now, the Tri-Trail project is proposed in the Village of Villa Park's CIP. The project is bid and ready to proceed to construction. Staff completed a consultant qualifications-based selection process for this project, and Civil Tech Engineering of Itasca, Illinois, was selected to perform these services. Staff recommends approval of an engineering construction an engineering construction services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering of Itasca, Illinois for construction engineering of the Tri-Trail Connector project in an amount not to exceed $106,177. Funds for these costs will be taken from the Street Improvement Capital Fund, account number 602-502.10.292. Village would be responsible for paying the eligible engineering costs and seeking reimbursement of the federal share from IDOT. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Kozar? Any questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
I'm just happy that this is all going forward.
Sure. Mr. Wagner is too. Happy this is going forward, right? Okay.
We aren't requiring you to make a comment on it.
Yeah, right.
That's
it.
It's embarrassing to be summoned on.
Clerk Hronecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes, and I agree with Trustee Kumar. It's good to see this going. Okay, we'll go on item 9, public comments on non-agenda items.
Yes, we have people.
Okay.
Bob Wagner is first.
Thank you. Bob Wagner, 114 West Monroe. Thank you, Madam Clerk, President Kazone, Village Board. I'm here on a matter of public safety. And many of you may know that this coming Wednesday, August 16th, District 45 and District 88 will be returning to school. District 48 returns on Tuesday, September 5th, a little bit later, but that means that on our streets, we're going to have a lot of kids going to school who are walking, bicycling, on their skateboards, maybe on their scooters. So I thought it was important enough to come here tonight to talk to the village board, what's left of the audience, and the viewing public to say, please reduce your speed. Be mindful that students are returning to school, and be careful. And you actually have a lot more school buses on the street as well. So I just wanted to implore the public to be safe and mind the speed limit. It doesn't hurt to go a little bit slower when necessary. Chairman Amori is here from the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee. I'm also a member, and I just want to take this opportunity to let the board know some things that the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee have done in the interest of public safety. We were at the District 45 Back to School event on Saturday, August 5th, talking to students and parents about being safe on your bike, pedestrian safety. Also, this coming Friday, August 18th, we were invited to North School for their Back to School event, and we will be doing the same. On Saturday, September 23rd, we will be holding a smart cycling class in conjunction with the Recreation Department, and that's going to be in the catalog, if I'm not mistaken. And we're hopeful that we'll be back at Brewfest with the bike valet again, so we're looking forward to that. So I appreciate the time and just implore people to be safe and watch out for the kids.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
I'm Ray Cheska from your friends in the South. And I wanted to bring up a topic that will negatively affect every man, woman, and child in Villa Park. One that will live with you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and will affect you where you work, where you sleep, in your backyards, in your schools, on the long walks along the prairie path, and right here in this room. You cannot see it, or smell it, or feel it right away, but it will damage you as we talk together tonight. It is something that you have the authority to do something about. I'm talking about electromagnetic radiation. and the possibility of Villa Park installing 2 giant EMF towers by TowerCo and making Villa Park a smart village. I implore you to take the time and really understand what you will be putting your residents through if you go ahead with it. There has been case after case of the government, like the FCC in this case, saying things are safe until they are not safe. Arsenic, mercury, heroin, asbestos, cocaine, lead, DDT, and of course cigarette smoking. All were considered safe till science caught up, and thank God they did. So many lives were saved by, unfortunately, many succumbed to their effects because we were late to the party. And now 5G. The untested network frequency coming from these giant towers will be harmful to the environment, to the plant life, honeybees, animal behavior, and especially to our residents. It is so powerful that it is used as an active denial crowd control system and was heavily used in combat war. To add to that, the FCC was caught with its pants down when the U.S. Courts of Appeal and the D.C. Circuit found the FCC guilty of not protecting the public's health since setting safety guidelines in 1995, that's 28 years ago, when we all had what was a very simple flip phone. And now we carry a mobile device more powerful than the power that was used to put the man on the moon. At the U.S. Senate Conference Science and Transportation Subcommittee meeting or hearing, 5 executives from the wireless industry were queried about biological implications of 5G. They said not $1 has been spent on research on the impact of human well-being. So the conclusion was that we are flying blind here as far as health and safety are concerned. And we want to put up 2 giant towers based on that. I would certainly hope that the Villa Park Board, who carry the safety of its residents in their hands, would not consider signing any agreement on TowerCo's 2 large towers without it being proven safe first.
30 seconds.
You are the ones that must be dead sure, regardless of what the state government says or what TowerCo tells you. You are here on the ground where life is lived, not in Springfield or Washington or North Carolina, the home state of TowerCo. You must be steadfast and resolute in supporting your residents and not have them be the test specimens for the industry. I'm preparing a docket of information on 5G that I will share with you so that you can see what we are seeing and hearing. This way you can ask the right questions and demand answers to TowerCo. Well, as one of my favorite heroes once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Dr. Martin Luther King. And he was so right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I sign this?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Joe Maury.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joel Maury, 309 East Maple. I'm here as Joel Maury resident. I wanted to bring a few items to your attention. Metra is planning on revising their fare structure. In 2024, the current Zone D, where our station is located, is going to be reduced and changed to Zone 3, which will include Lombard and Elmhurst. That will reduce our current one-way adult fare downtown from $6.75 down to $5.50. They're revising their structure throughout the entire Metra system. So what does that mean for Villa Park? And by the way, if anybody wants to comment on it, they're still taking feedback. If you go to 2024 fare plan at metrorail.com, where you can provide feedback. So what does that do for Villa Park? Well, it makes it a cheaper place to get on your train. We also want to consider the fact that DuPage County is currently developing their strategic plan. We also want to consider that we are bordered by Elmhurst and Lombard, who have the same fare structure. They also have PACE bus service that serves the train stations directly. We don't. They have amenities for people to get off the train and do things after work, go to eat, go out and have a cocktail, watch a movie. We don't. What do we get when we get off our train? You've got a pile of rubble. You've got a station that has no amenities in it. You have low-income housing that surrounds the grounds, a developer that possibly proposed reducing the amount of parking. This is going to affect Villa Park because Metro lives and breathes by what they consider boardings. They're constantly reviewing boardings. And if you look at your Metro schedule, notice Maywood and Melrose Park. Midday trains, only every other train stops there because boardings drop down. And when people can get on for a lower fare and have something to do after work, they'll probably be boarding somewhere else. And that would also include both towns that border us have a pedestrian underpass, so you're not blocked from getting to your car after work. So the elephant in the room today has been building up our mostly, who is in here, development. We need to get some development in there, and we need to get it fast. So we got to focus because other towns would kill to have an asset like a metro station. They're not going to close it down and skip it forever, but once they start reducing service, you're going to have less people wanting to get on here because you don't want to have to wait 2 hours for a train if you miss it, like you have to do on a weekend. The bottom line is the way boardings affect service. Every time the guy has to set brake, that's a brake shoe that needs to be replaced sooner. Every time he accelerates out, that uses fuel. Every time somebody gets on and off, there's a liability possibly involved. So let's think about working up our development and hopefully, keeping that asset we have and vitalizing it, make it a vital asset, and keep us focused on keeping us the great town that we are. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Okay. Anyone else for non-agenda items?
Mike McCarthy, 613 South Cornell Avenue. So I just want to touch on the theme of tonight, which I think is development and making our village better. As a 33-year-old homeowner here with a 30-year-old wife and 3 young kids, we're looking to develop our home to stay here, and that's been made clear. I believe Trustee Kozak referred to that. I'm going to be very honest. He brought up a great point at the end. We were looking to move because things were so slow. There was some errors made in the planning. Look, people make mistakes, we move on, but I think we definitely need to really look at how we can move things along quicker if we want to keep people here in this town. On a development point of view, one of the things that I'm kind of concerned about, and I think it's definitely improved in the 6 years we've been here, is developing general amenities in the kind of CBD districts of Villa Park, which I would kind of define as Villa and Ardmore, right there on Park. They're kind of the two real hubs of the south part of Villa Park where I'm from. Like, in 6 years, what have we seen business-wise or amenity-wise really created in the last 6 years? Well, we've seen a couple of businesses, but we've got a lot of shop fronts that are empty. But we have a really young, vibrant community here. On my street alone, I think there's probably 35 kids under the age of 5. So if you track that, that's a lot of families. A lot of kids are going to go through schools here. And what these families need are not just parks and the Prairie Path, which we love, don't get me wrong. We need like other amenities. We need to try and promote business here. Whatever we can do as a board here to try and drive more commercial activity here, more restaurants, more, I believe there's a deli opening up, or a deli is opening up in Ardmore, which is phenomenal. That's brilliant. I used to go across the street to get my hair cut by the Bill chap who when he cut my hair, it was like a lawnmower going over my head, but I still paid him because I thought he was phenomenal. We need more businesses like that. Like I believe there's Villa Park, which is opening on Villa Avenue, but there's still a lot more just front space that's completely empty. And when people come to visit, I have people visit me all the time from Ireland, right? The first thing they say is when they drive into Villa Park, they say, what's going on here? This place is dead. And then we go on the Prairie Path and they see 400 or 500 families walking up and down. And they say, how do you live here? And I say, I list all the advantages of living in Villa Park. It's a beautiful town. It's safe. It's secure. There's great community here. I've got access to all the roads. I've got access to airports. I can get into the city. But the one thing that really holds this town back is giving families the ability to do all of spend their disposable income and do all of their business in Villa Park. Go out and get dinner at an Italian restaurant in Villa Park. You know, maybe we can have a small picture house or a cinema. Someone was speaking about that. Maybe you can go catch a film in Villa Park somewhere. We can go get a cocktail, or we need to offer different things. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I've got a cohort of friends my age that I hang out with all the time, and it's a big discussion we discuss all the time. Hey, what would you do to fix Villa Park? We need more businesses. Because people like me want to support local businesses. I would way prefer to go and buy a book at the corner store than to go onto Amazon and buy a book. Likewise, I would way prefer to go to a restaurant here than drive over. My wife's from Elmhurst. I'd go to Villa Park 9 times out of 10 if there's a restaurant here, because it's my town. So I just want to make that very clear. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I encourage you to make comments on the village's comprehensive plan documents that right now we're going through a comprehensive plan. One of the things we're looking at is trying to redevelop, among other places, St. Charles, but also the old Villa downtown, the old Ardmore downtown. So.
I don't have a pen to sign in, but oh, here it is. I don't really know where to begin.
State your name, please.
My name is Val. I don't really know where to begin, but I'm here regarding the cell tower special permit request from a group of concerned citizens. I have a public comment that I was given that was passed over on July 24th meeting. I will hand that to whoever so that that can be record. Dear trustees, we apologize that our schedules are not as flexible as we would like to attend in-person board meetings due to working 2 to 3 jobs and other pressing needs. Thank you for your concern and respect for the community. The cell tower in question is of grave concern in many respects. There is no necessity for the cell tower on the Willowbrook property, and more than adequate convenience already exists. Contrary to the statements in the petitioner's request based on the proposed ordinance, local first responders have opted out of FirstNet and with their DUCON response system. The tower would be a safety hazard due to lethal falling shards of ice in the winter and a potential tornado vortex and high winds projecting debris, or the tower itself is a real threat. A large open field to the south of the proposed tower increases wind speed. There is a consensus by scientists and meteorologists of increasing extreme weather conditions, and it is only going to get worse, they state. I have a link regarding that. The variance on the north border should not be granted. The fall zone is inadequate. With and without a variance, there is no guarantee of safety from potential failure of the base plate, causing the tower to fall intact and wholly from the raised elevation, toppling 125 feet plus equipment and debris on the roadway and neighboring property, with the potential to kill or severely injure the many people who frequent the area, including children at the Islamic Center K-12 school. Additionally, the emotional and mental trauma of the threat of that potential can be debilitating. There is no guarantee of safety from falling debris, even with the possibility that the tower actually did collapse upon itself. Is the structural integrity of the tower compromised when it is designed to collapse upon itself? When these fall letter reports are provided, why is there typically a disclaimer from liability, etc., by the author? A financial savings does not justify physical danger to others. There appears to be priority for financial savings in the operation of school buses with RF GPS communications. However, the buses are operating sufficiently now at a cost of $5,000 monthly. There is no necessity for FirstNet and no convenience to be provided, as it already exists. There is no functional need. There is no denial of supporting infrastructure in the area. It is true that accommodation of infrastructure for FirstNet must be provided. Where is the citation? By what authority spanning that what period of time? Is it a recommendation, a suggestion, a law? FirstNet dedicated frequency IS already accommodated by an AT&T tower located at Ardmore and St. Charles and Villa Park and possibly other AT&T locations nearby. The applicable ordinance states that evidence is required. A computer graphic propagation map, which is unsupported by evidence, does not stand. It is admitted before this board that there is no guarantee of improved coverage.
30 seconds.
Pardon?
30 seconds.
In fact, likely not, given the construction materials of the buildings. Because of an apparent communication breakdown with the village board, please be advised that these FOIAs have been submitted to the Village of Villa Park. Number 1, produce any and all documents submitted to the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, provided by petitioner, its agents, representatives, employees, partners, parties of interest, including documents on file in the Villa Park Department of Community Development regarding petition PZ-23-02, cell tower or any cell tower installation on the property located at 1250 Ardmore, Villa Park, Illinois, known as Willowbrook High School, and referenced by Village of Villa Park staff and referenced at public meetings by the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 8th, 2023, and by the Villa Park, Illinois Village Board of Trustees on 7/24/23, including but not limited to the following. Number 1, cell tower applications, requests, plans, attachments, exhibits, references, and any other submissions to the Village of Villa Park, Illinois. Number 2, National Environmental Protection Act, NEPA checklist with supporting documentation. Number 3, FCC radio frequency report. Number 4, proof of no endangered species registered with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Number 5, fall letter referenced in the memo from Mark McLaughlin, Director of Community Development, Villa Park, Illinois, to Matthew Harline, Village Manager, dated July 24, 2023, regarding PZ-23-02, including the organization business name as well as the name, biography, and credentials of the author of said fall letter. Number 6, any other agreements and documents of any kind relating to the said proposed tower installation. I have more, but I think my time is up.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
There was a sent in earlier today, a statement or comment from Nancy Perlman. She asked me to make sure it was read at the meeting and it was correct with it. We have a copy of it here.
Do you want to read it? Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, here's a public comment from Nancy Perlman. How do you scroll down? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Good evening. I'd like to thank the village board members for your dedicated service to Villa Park. I'm part of the leadership team in Illinois who have been working with state legislators and local officials to restore local control to the municipalities for the placement of cell towers and small cells. Tonight, I am asking that you deny or at least table the special use permit to TowerCo for a new cell tower at 1250 South Ardmore. There are many reasons to do so, especially public safety. The cell tower is proposed is 125 feet tall. The petitioner wants to place it 50 feet from the property line. They claim from their structural engineer that it is safe and will collapse on itself. That is one option. No one knows who that engineer is and if that is true in all cases. If the cell tower fell over, it could go on top of West High Ridge Road and crash into the Islamic Center School. Parachutes are designed to open too. 1 out of 1,000 malfunctions and doesn't open. Many cell towers have fallen. If there is an ice storm, the ice shards can fly off the tower as far as 100 feet and people could get hurt. there was a tornado or windstorm, the tower could fall, which happens frequently with towers. This cell tower is a fire hazard. Many cell towers have caught fire. The cell tower is next to a forest preserve. Where is the petitioner's NEPA checklist that needs to prove there are no endangered species in the forest preserve that would be impacted, as well as an FCC radio frequency compliance report that includes the lowest and highest levels these antennas are capable of emitting for public exposure? She does include some websites on here. I won't read them all. They're pretty long. The FCC was sued for having radio frequency guidelines that are 27 years out of date. Now they must review the 11,000 pages of peer-reviewed scientific studies proving biological harm and letters from 200 people whose health has been injured from this technology. It is crucial that the FCC establishes new safe guidelines for radio frequency limits. In 2020, there was New Hampshire Commission on the Environmental and Health Effects of Evolving 5G Technology. State legislators, the Attorney General's Office, telecom industry professionals, etc., did a year-long study. Their final report to the Governor of New Hampshire included these recommendations. Require any 5G antenna located on a public right-of-way or new cellular phone antenna of any type be set back 1,600 feet, 500 meters from residences, businesses, and schools within a municipality, enforceable by the municipality during the permitting process. Establish new protocols for performing signal strength measurements in areas around cell tower radiators to ensure compliance with regulatory radiation. I hope you would hire an independent RF engineer to measure the radio frequency microwave radiation before installation, and a monitoring program after doing so, measuring without notifying the wireless carriers. Regarding having FirstNet as a provider of wireless when all communication goes down is not accurate. Every cell tower picks up 911 calls. First responders have their own two-way radio. Has the applicant provided you with studies proving 5G is safe? Probably not, as their marketing is propaganda with no facts behind it. Mayor and Village Board of Lockport voted no and turned down a cell tower from being placed on school property by a park and baseball diamond where houses backed up to. They took the time to look at the information they were given. They used their moral courage over money. Please vote to deny or at least table this topic for now so you have the chance to review all the facts and data being presented to you tonight so you can make the most informed decision possible. Thank you. Okay, seeing as that's everybody, we'll go on to item 10A is new business, review strategic planning proposals. Andrew Harling.
The four proposals that have been submitted to the update the strategic plan. The last strategic plan was updated in 2019 with a report coming out early 2020, which would largely follow the process in the 2014 plan. Since then, the village has made progress on several of the goals and some have become obsolete, e.g. building a hotel in place of the Odeum. The fact that it has been 4 years and only two of the seven board members of the trustees participating in the process argues for an updating the plan at this point. It's just informational. I will give the board members access to all the proposals, which you should have by now in a Teams folder, and I'll bring back a proposed agreement on August 18th with a recommendation. I was hoping to get it done this week, but I didn't anticipate as robust a response, so just want to let you know. That was the September 16th date, or 16th date. Keep that just in case, but we'll probably have to scoot the process back as I review the different proposals. I would very much be interested if you guys have time to review the proposals and have any input. So we'll bring something back on the 28th.
Okay. Good, thank you. Okay, item 11, any old business? Item 12, village clerk's report.
No report, thank you.
Village trustees report, we'll start on my left. Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. I just want to wish every student and teacher going back to school good luck. I know that in the next couple of weeks that is going to be happening here soon. And as mentioned before, we have the comprehensive plan. Please make sure that you are filling it out. Our goal was 1,000. I'm really hoping that in a village of 22,000 we can surpass 1,000. So please fill that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
A couple of things. I do see that my pet project of Lufkin Park is on its way, and really, I see it every day, and I like the changes there. Everything is going really positively, and I think everybody working on that, and I'm really looking forward to the end product. It's looking good. Now, I also would like to thank Joe Amore for coming out and having the discussion he did about the Metro Rail. I got some good information on the pricing changes. Start riding the Metro. If it's cheaper, let's get on the Metro. Let's save our community and environmental impact is very positive. It is a little bit cheaper. And I would also like to answer that hopefully with are voting in some changes, and if Garden Station comes in, hopefully we get some activity in that area that's more positive in terms of development, because right now it's a pile of rubble, as he pointed out. I thank Mike for coming out and giving us your ideas. Please join our commissions, get involved more in whatever way you can. They were very wonderful ideas, and it's people like you that make our town special. Thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Trustee Corkery.
No report this week.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I have a few things, so I'll try to make them as brief as possible. First of all, I want to thank our police department and our fire department for putting on an amazing National Night Out. That event, if you did not make it to there or attend it, was one of the best I have ever seen. There was huge crowds, lots of families, lots of kids. It was really well managed, really well put on, and I just want to thank you for doing that. It was a great showing. I think we need to further, potentially now that we're talking budget, maybe throw some more money at an event like that to do some more. I think that was extremely beneficial for our first responders, our police department, our fire department to have their faces out there interacting with the residents and just honing in on that sense of community here. So I just really appreciate that. And again, back to budgeting, since those talks are coming soon, I'd like for the village to present a few different options to the board for promoting a sergeant in our police department, as well as hiring at least one more additional officer. I would like to see some sort of proposals where we could make that happen within our next budget. We've already talked about it a little bit earlier, was our comprehensive plan. And I am going to beat this drum until we get it done. If you go out and talk with residents and they ask about the conversations that we have, they most certainly will tell you that I always am encouraging them to partake in our comprehensive plan. Again, I can't stress the importance of a comprehensive plan and what it means to a municipality in a village like ours. It opens up funding options for grants. It is a roadmap for the next 10, 20 plus years on the direction of what our village should go. And our village residents have the opportunity to give their thoughts and opinions and be a part of developing this comprehensive plan. And the more people that we have taking action, whether this be the surveys or completing the do-it-yourself kits, the better that plan will be tailored towards our municipality of Villa Park. So if you are out there and you haven't looked at this yet, I strongly encourage you to look at the website, look at how you could get involved with the surveys, look at how you could get involved with your neighbors, even local organizations or anybody that is a stakeholder here in Villa Park can participate in making sure that this plan is one of the best that Villa Park has ever made. So I will, speaking of the comprehensive plan though as well, I'd like to see the village also roll out a plan, much like they did with LRS and our new, our plan with the contract with our garbage disposal. I think that we need to try to be doing more to communicate this to our residents, more than just social media and Facebook, but I think we need to find a way that we can get this out to the residents. I don't know if we can utilize Code Red, but I do know a simple way is that we still have, if you've got your water bill and your garbage bill, there's still a spot on there that the village can put messages on there. I think we need to start utilizing every avenue that we can possibly to make this comprehensive plan something big. This comprehensive plan is probably going to outlast everybody's tenure on this board. That's how important this is for the direction and the future of Villa Park. So please visit that, get to there, do a do-it-yourself kit, fill out the surveys. It will really help us in the long run. Moving forward, I would like to thank the Villa Park Warriors Youth Football and Cheer. They have almost doubled their numbers since last year. They are really organizing and really growing their numbers. It's amazing to see how many kids are participating in youth football this year. And also, with the success of Willowbrook's flag football team last year, there are so many more people that are interested in joining youth football, and I would suggest that if you are interested, check that out. But a thank you to them because they were able to give out some tickets to the Bears training camp, as well as the first preseason game of the Bears on Saturday. That's where I got this beautiful red tan that I'm sporting tonight. So thank you to them for doing that for our community. And if you want to look into football, check out the Villa Park Youth Warriors Football and Cheer. That leads me into another thing. I'll talk football. Chicago Bears, season starting, right? The Chicago Bears have a potential new stadium being built in Arlington Heights. Okay, I would like a report from the village or maybe even a commission, I don't know where this would go, about how this stadium will affect Villa Park, more particularly with Airbnbs. And what is our plan for dealing with the potential influx in our community? A new stadium like that that's going to be built will be bringing in more people to our community, even though we are a few miles away from Arlington Heights. So I would like to see what the staff's ideas are regarding Airbnbs. Does there need to be any ordinances, regulations, or anything along those lines with the influx of those in our community? Lastly, well, I got two more things. I sent out an email to the board about a couple months ago. I've only had 3 trustees respond, Trustee Kumar, Alfano, and Kozar, to my initial email about our commissions and how we as a village can better utilize them and empower them a bit more than that they are. The general consensus that I had is that we'd like for a committee of the whole meeting to be established in October or November to further expand upon these discussions to better utilize our commissions. I think it is important that we have these discussions, allow the public to take part in these discussions as well. Our commissions are made up of volunteers, people, residents that are giving up their time to be a stakeholder in Villa Park and the future moving forward. And I think we have a major opportunity to capitalize on that. But we have to have these conversations. That's why I'm thinking committee whole meeting is appropriate for a discussion like this. And then lastly, the past board discussions, we've discussed about how we would like for the village to report back to the board about how we can get agendas out sooner rather than later. I know that's a struggle, but ideally, me personally and a few other trustees have stated if we can have 1 week prior to stated meetings, it would be more beneficial for everybody to have access to the information so that way we can make informed decisions, come back and ask questions, and be able to have that information ready so that way at a board meeting, we're not tying up our time asking questions that could have already been asked. We need more time. So I'm asking that we try to find a way to cooperate and get that agenda out to us a week in advance. That is all I have. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you for your comments. Very good comments. I really appreciate that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Cordova.
Yeah, I'll go quick. Just to echo a little bit more on the comprehensive plan and the need for people to fill out the survey. In 2015, we did a master plan for Parks and Rec while I was on that commission, and in those 10 years, we planned out, or in those 8 years that I was on, we planned out each park, what we were going to do, how we're going to do it. The way we got those surveys is something that you just mentioned. We were putting them out in the Parks and Rec the catalogs, as well as on the water bill, which was great. So we had a statistically significant amount of surveys, which I can't remember the number. But in those years, we've done 6 out of 9 parks. We've rebuilt 6 out of 9 parks, with the last 3 being done by 2025. So the need for input is huge, and I agree with Trustee Patrick here that everyone should be filling it out. So that's my only piece there. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozar.
Lots of good comments, and thank you for all of those. The only thing I want to add to it, September 30th, the Fun Commission is doing their Autumn Jubilee at the train station museum over there by Villa and the Prairie Path. So I did have a flyer that I didn't bring tonight, and I apologize for that, but I'll bring it next week. I think it missed the newsletter, so I just wanted to shout that out for them. But if anybody wants to participate, you can email pride@invillapark.com, pride@invillapark.com, and volunteer some time or some ideas, or maybe you have a local craft or something that you want to do on a 10x10 tent, promote your art or your wares out there on September 30th. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move to the village president's report. Just got a couple things. The Villa Park Ace Hardware, this Saturday, August 19th, is going to be celebrating their 10th anniversary in Villa Park. And Lou Manfredini, the owner, had a little flyer put out, and he says, "We owe our success to our loyal customers, dedicated team, and the community whose support has been pivotal in our growth and success over the past 10 years. Villa Park Ace remains deeply committed to giving back to the community. They will partner with local charities and organizations to support vital community initiatives, including a pet adoption event from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. featuring dogs from Fetching Tails Foundation. Customers and well-wishers are encouraged to join Villa Park Ace Hardware August 19th and throughout this anniversary month. So they are located at 46 South Villa, at Villa in St. Charles. So hopefully you can get out there. This past week, the Barneys on North Avenue had their ribbon cutting. It's a sandwich shop and restaurant, and it was very well attended, and I didn't try anything, but I heard that their Philly sandwiches were excellent, so see that the chiefs are nodding, so I think they may have tried those. So if you get a chance on Barney's, they're on West North Avenue. I'm sorry, Charlie's. Gosh, how did I get Barney's? Charlie's, I am sorry.
Probably my bad.
It is called Charlie's on North Avenue. Oh, I got Barney's
It's all right.
Wow.
Was there another one I missed?
Yeah, man. Yeah, Charlie's on North Avenue, and I apologize to the owner of Charlie's.
This will probably add to it and make it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so now everybody will go to it. But again, their Philly steak sandwiches are supposed to be really good. I'm going to try one this week. This Saturday is also electronic recycling here at the Public Works. So between 9 and 12 o'clock, village residents are encouraged to bring any kind of electronics that they have. You have to have a valid ID showing that you live in Villa Park, but it runs from 9 to 12 on Home Street, Public Works. And that's all I have, and we'll go to the village manager's report.
All right, I had just three things. First of all, I'm going to send you an email here in just a second. Some update on the aggregation program. We had about 19% opt-out. There's some information about how you can still opt out if you want to, even though the deadline has passed, or opt back in if you want to join in the effort to be an EPA village. I'm going to get this wrong if I don't read it. The EPA certified village for EPA green community for the board's action in purchasing 100% wind power or 100% green power, which turned out to be wind power from MC Squared when we went to the market. We will also be monitoring how our rate compares to ComEd, which has gone up 0.2% since we've signed the contract, or 0.2 cents per kilowatt hour. Still cheaper than ours right now, but we'll see in 25 months who has a cheaper rate. Our rate is based on 100% green. Theirs is a minimum of 17% as set by state. So we've, of the opt-out houses, 7,524 homes received the opt-out, or homes and small businesses, and 1,418 has chosen to opt out. And then, so that's, so the aggregation program is, well over half haven't. We are still getting people who are now getting the official letter from ComEd who didn't see the first letter that was sent to every household and didn't see the stuff we put in the on our website, on Facebook, etc. So they're still getting a couple people calling in. But I'll send that information to all the board members so you'll have, and we've also already updated the website with the new information. I just wanted to say thank you to President Cazone and to everyone who attended and participated in the services for Lori Conforti Zimmerman, also known as Coco. I just wanted to read from the last paragraph of her life story, I'll call it, that was sent out. She dedicated 30 years of her life to the Villa Park Police Department, finding genuine joy in her work. She often referred to her colleagues as her second family, always making a heartfelt effort to ensure everyone she encountered felt valued and appreciated. And I don't know if Dan McCann wants to say anything to this. I didn't give him any lead in at all, but I did not have a chance to, I barely got to meet her because she was ill a lot this last year, but I know that she was well loved by the department. I don't know if you wanted to.
Oh, she's a great person, been here a long time, never came in a bad movie. Always loved being around the officers and the police.
So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge her service and thank you to the allowing us to put the flags at half staff in her honor on Friday. And probably did this in the wrong order because it really shouldn't follow that with anything. But we do have prepared for August 28th, Jerry Lynn Heft, I'm going to botch her name. The woman from Ansel Glink will be able to attend our meeting at 6 p.m. on August 28th. So I don't know if we need to set a special, I guess that would have been, do we have to?
Yes, we'll have an agenda posted for a special meeting.
Yeah.
Of the committee.
Yeah, it's basically committee of the whole, but it would be on August 28th, which is not our typical meeting date. I sent an email out earlier, so you guys hopefully saw that. And that'll give us a chance to talk about Robert's Rules of Order and conducting business meetings as requested by the board. And that's a week that works for her. So, and we can stay on schedule because we've got a lot of other committee of the whole topics. And I just I guess I can talk afterwards, but Trustee Patrick, I know you are getting the agenda as it is a week ahead of time. Are you wanting to shut off any additions to the agenda a week ahead of time?
It would be really nice to have all the extras. I know that you don't necessarily have those at that time, but I think we really need to work on the attachments and everything that goes with it. I'm just going to speak from experience, is that when the agenda is released on Thursday or Friday, depending on when we get it, we only have those 2-3 days to review it, get back to you with questions that we might have. And sometimes some of these topics, take some time. It's a give and take. We might have some questions. You need some follow-up questions. I think it would be very beneficial for the board to have that agenda with those in a more timely manner, so that way we can make those decisions. I understand the challenge.
It means that some things will take longer. It means we'll have to, the timeline for development and all these projects will move back at least a week, because to get that stuff ready on a Monday is going to.
So then I think that it leaves an opportunity for staff to make sure that we get those to you, or whatever they need to you, on a timely manner, though, for that week. It can be done, otherwise it's going to have to wait 2 more weeks. But as a trustee, I'm asking for more information in a timely manner, so that way I can make better decisions.
Okay, item 16A, executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 regarding the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and C11 regarding litigation when action against, affecting, or on behalf of the village has been filed and is pending before a court, or when the village finds that an action is probable or imminent. Do we have a motion for executive session? Trustee Kumar, do we have a second? Trustee Alfano. Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazo.
Okay, we will adjourn our meeting out of executive session. Our next meeting will be August 28th. We will have a COW at 6 o'clock, and then our regular meeting at 7, and we will adjourn out of executive session. Guys, everyone have a great week this week.